Hello everyone, Sally here from Classcipe Operation Team. Welcome to Classcipe TeachMeet First Edition. Classcipe is a New Zealand-based company aiming to create a global community for educators and learners to share their knowledge and experiences with each other. With us, you can create your unit plan task more easily and customize your template with accurate content recommendations. Our platform function includes interactive slides, customized templates, online, offline, and hybrid learning functions, managing classroom, co-teach, instant feedback, and many more. You can create your own PD content, conduct prepaid sessions, and become a workshop facilitator. Do follow us on our social media to receive more information and updates. Moving on to the issuance of certificate. The certificate of attendance will be issued to those who are attending the live session uninterrupted till the end. We take 14 working days to issue certificates. The feedback form will be sent to the chat box. You need to fill up and submit in order to get the certificate. Now, let me welcome our esteemed workshop facilitator, Ms. Rushini Ramachandran. It is my pleasure to introduce to you an educator who has dedicated her career to teaching young minds and inspiring them to reach their fullest potential. Ms. Rushini Ramachandran has been in this profession over a decade, and her extensive experience in various international curricula has made her an expert in her field. She has taught in the Singapore curriculum for elementary students, Cambridge IGCSE and A-level biology, and IB MYP year 1 to 5. She has taught sciences to students from elementary to middle school, biology to students of middle and high school. Her passion for teaching and guiding students has taken her to different countries, including her current location in Jakarta, Indonesia, and a short stint in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ms. Rushini has an impressive educational background as well, holding a master's in science, microbiology, and a master's in education. Her expertise in these fields has enabled her to deliver quality education to students, making learning engaging and meaningful. Ms. Rushini's achievement in the field of education do not stop here. In 2020, she became the IB workshop leader. She has also completed her PL training earlier this year, further honing her skills and keeping herself up to date with the latest development in the field of education. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Welcome, Rushini.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Saley. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. I don't really know where we're all coming from. So let me start by sharing my screen. And before I do that, let me also say thank you very much for attending my session. It is an honor to be presenting today. And I do hope that you like the session today and that you will be able to learn something and take something away from it. So let me start off. Before we start off, let's have a few housekeeping agreements. We're all here to learn, so do respect everybody else and their ideas, even though they're different from our own, or they may be different from our own. Participate where you can. Keep an open mind. And if you have questions during the session, please put it down in the chat, or you can just note it down and we can ask the questions later. And let's create a positive learning environment for everybody. So a little about myself. I hope we can all see my screen. If not, please let me know. This is me. And I'm Rushini Ramachandran, and I think Sahili has given a very nice introduction, so I don't really want to go ahead, but that's kind of what I look like in case my camera doesn't work or it's a little blurry. Laptop cameras. So let's have a fun engagement. Wherever you're from, let's see it. I said good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but I would like to know if there are anybody who, I'm sorry. Okay. I would like to know if there is anybody who I have to say good morning to. So can we just click it on your screens? I'm sure on your slides, you can just mark where you're from. So I'm going to look at responses. We still haven't gotten any responses. I think you would be having it on your slides. You just have to check it. Am I correct? Oh, yes. Miss Gramelia, I hope that's the correct correct pronunciation. Okay, that's wonderful. Is that Indonesia too? Looks like Indonesia. It's kind of where I am. Anybody else? All right. I'm just looking at the responses. Sorry, let me just see that. That's kind of weird. I can't see the responses. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, India. I'm assuming that's India or the Indian Ocean, one of the two, but welcome, welcome. So please do keep putting in your ideas. You can put in your answers later on too. All right. So yes, I'm just looking. Thank you very much, Certain, for adding in your input as well. So moving on, let's look at what we will be looking at today. We are going to look at a few things. We're going to look at the whole idea is about conceptual understanding and how can we put it into our unit planners and how we can put it take it into our classroom instruction, right? So, but before that, what is important is the why of getting this conceptual understanding into our classrooms, because if you don't know the why you're doing it, then you would not do it in the first place. So we're going to look at the need for conceptual understanding. We're going to learn how to make, I'm sure all of you have done it before, but also it would be nice as a recap for those who already know how to create a conceptual understanding statement. And we are going to look at how we can foster conceptual understanding in our students in our classrooms. So, okay, this I hope everyone would participate. Please put in how you're feeling, 1 to 9. I have all the pictures I have used, I have cited them. At the end, you can see the thing. Okay, someone's feeling 5, Mona Lisa. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep those comments coming in. You can pick more than one. Maybe someone feels like, I don't know, something between 1 and 3. Thank you, Claudia. All right, we've got a lot of, nice to meet you, Gramelia. I just read your text as well. Oh, everyone's feeling 5. We have a 4. I like the 4, right? No one's a 3 at least. Okay, please do keep those comments coming in, right? And let's move on to the next part. Oh, we have an 8. That's a different one. Ooh, I like that. Yes, sounds good. All right, let's move on to the need for a conceptual understanding, right? Why do we need a big idea? Why do we need a concept in our classrooms, right? How many of us have come across this question where a student says, but Miss, Mr., or I don't know, however they address you, ma'am, sir, why are we learning this? What's the purpose? Why are you teaching me this? Why do we have to learn this? A lot of my kids ask that, especially in middle school. I think I love middle school and I get a lot of these questions. So teaching conceptual understanding, getting conceptual understanding into your classroom kind of gives you the answer to tell the students why we're learning what we're learning. And the next thing is concepts, right? They go just beyond our subjects. They cross disciplinary boundaries. So what happens is you see it from different perspectives. You see what you're learning from the eyes of different subjects, and thereby it drives student inquiry. And from the student inquiry, so you have the prior knowledge, they get their perspective, they have their inquiry, they construct new meaning, and this meaning can be transferred from across subject groups to their different situations, to practical situations, to everything else. So this is why we need a conceptual understanding. So let's just go back to that one slide, right? I love that slide. Yeah, but let's think about it. You can put in your answers in your chat, in the chat for this one. When you looked at the picture, right? How did you look at concepts from different perspectives? How did you create new meanings from what you already knew? And what kind of knowledge transfer happened? So I'm going to give like a minute to get answers to this one. Oh, yes, I see Edwin saying, I've been asked that. Kirsten says about algebra. Oh, yeah, people ask that about math all the time. And so if you do have answers, please put them in. When we were looking at these pictures, reflect a little about your own thinking. When you looked at them, what were the concepts you knew? How did it come to a different perspective? What kind of new meanings did you construct? And therefore, what kind of knowledge transfer happened? Thank you. Mood, situations, expressions, reflecting, feelings. Thank you so much. How we feel in the learning outcomes. Nice. When I did this slide, the first thing I was thinking of was, would teachers know what these are? Like, would someone from music know who this is from art, like, and using them as a mood slide? That, I think that was a genius idea, right? To actually, yes, to know our mental condition. Again, bringing in exactly. Oh, it is a potential consequence. I love that. Right. So moving on to the next slide. Yes, if you can see my screen, it does look like a million slides, but it's mostly because I do all these break up little things. So we looked at the need for a concept. We looked at the need for conceptual understanding. Nice. I'm just reading everybody's work here, which you're just telling me. And now let's look at what is a concept. So I'm going to give a minute for you to read. These are just a bunch of words, right? But concepts are nothing but big ideas that have different attributes that do not have, like we said, it does not have a boundary, a subject boundary. So it's abstract in its nature. And because it's abstract, you can get interdisciplinary learning easily, and you can interpret concepts from multiple ways, which is why a concept can be repeated in different topics. You can still do it because you can look at concepts from different angles. Remember, we said we can look at it from different angles. So that's one thing. And another thing is, a concept is not just horizontal, but it's also vertical. So you can start with a concept and look at it from different subjects, but within the same subject, we can look at concepts at different degrees of complexity. So that's what we're looking about concepts. So when we're creating conceptual understandings, right? This is something we have to keep in mind when we create conceptual understanding statements, which is, it's important in our unit planner. I've been asked a lot of times when I'm taking workshops, what's the point of putting it in our unit planner, right? Now we need to understand that as teachers, our unit planner is what drives our teaching. We need to have a plan. If we don't have a plan, it's like doing something impromptu. It's not a holiday. We can say, hey, let's go to Ibiza tomorrow. No, what if you don't have a passport? What if you don't have the visa? Right? So it's the same thing with the unit planner. Putting these things into your unit planner makes sense because you know, what will you be needing? Will you be needing post-its for your plan? Will you be needing chart papers for your plan? That's why these things come in. Same thing with concepts. If you're going to be needing this, what kind of teaching tools would you be needing? Right? This is why it should be there in the unit planner. And when you put it in a unit planner, when you start making it, it should be short. It should be meaningful. Students should easily understand it. It should not be a complex string of words. No. And it should be connected to what we're teaching in the unit, but also you should be able to transfer that conceptual understanding to something else. And we're going to look at that a little more. So because of the connection with the unit, the content that comes from our subject actually is very important, because you learn the concept through your content. And that is how true learning actually happens in the classroom. So let's go on to creating our conceptual understanding. I hope we're all ready to create conceptual understandings today. We are each of us creating one, I hope, right? So we're going to do this activity together in the next 2-3 slides, but let me start with how the thinking process goes, right? So we've got our factual knowledge. But what's important here, I'm assuming everybody is an MYP teacher or will be joining an MYP school or has just joined an MYP school. So in MYP, we've got the subject guides that gives you the definitions of related concepts. I love those related concepts. So we look at our topic, what we're going to learn or what we're going to teach, what the students are going to learn. We look from those topics, we open our guides and we see what are the big ideas that this subject content can be related to. And from there, we pick up 1 or 2 related concepts that will be used to promote the inquiry into the subject specific content. So let's check an example out. This is from one of my own units. So the students, this was for grade 6, the students had to learn, what I wanted them to learn was organs in the human body, human systems. There were also like plant systems and parts of plants and everything, right? So there's science, I'm a science teacher. So this is what I wanted to teach. And from my subject guide, right, I picked up form and function because I wanted to talk about organs and their functions, systems and their functions. So that's kind of what I wanted to look at. And so I picked up the related concepts. So now what I would like you to do is, this is a comment slide. Think of, you can make a video, audio, text, comments for this slide. Please go ahead, be creative. Think of any factual subject knowledge that your unit wants to address, and then look at the subject guide for the related concepts. The definitions are there that helps guide you on choosing the related concepts, and select 1 or 2. You can put it as a comment. If you put it in the chat box, I will still read it. You can use the comment function. Please click on the slide to check the comment function. Just click on it and you can comment on it. Let's see if we're getting any comments. All right, there's another message in this chat that says, to access the Classcipe platform, please click on the app, on the website link, so it's easy for everybody. Any ideas? Okay, let's give them a minute. Just feel free to write in anything. Is anyone having difficulties? Okay, language acquisition. Right, thank you, Ram, for writing down language acquisition. So when you open the language acquisition guide, it is what are the related concepts you can see. So pick up your knowledge that you want to teach, and then look at the related concepts and choose one of the related concepts. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Claudia. I am just reading Claudia's from language acquisition, holidays and traveling, key concept. Oh, Claudia's gone all key concepts. Really cool. Related concept, purpose. All right. Yes, I would give you a couple of minutes. Celebration. I love celebrations. Okay, I am also, if you can see my screen, I am looking at everybody else's work. It's always nice when participants actually do stuff because it makes it so much more interactive.
Rushini, just one thing, you can just maximize each and every comment to read their answers. Yeah, you just click on that, and
I'm trying to see.
It is not here. Okay, we'll try.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Energy consequence transformations. All right. Okay. That's great. Factual knowledge, transformation of energy, types of, okay. I think that's the same slide. Oh, that's a different version. All right. Aesthetics and form. That's pretty cool. Okay, I think this is still going on. How about science, diseases, and adaptation? That's a cool one. So if you're looking at diseases, what kind of related concept are you going to look at? So a related concept, I'm just looking at everybody's comments. A related concept technically would come from your guide, not from your subject knowledge. So if you look at your MYP guides, if you are working in an IB school, MYP school, when you look at the guides, all the way at the back, you've got the related concepts and their meanings. That would be where you find what they mean, and then you choose the best fit for your subject. Right, it's 6:02 my time. That was about 3 to 4 minutes we spend on this. We're going to, you guys can always, you can always go back and change your things later, right? Am I correct? So Haley, they can always change.
Yes, they will have
Yeah.
access to the slides later.
All right, so I am just going to move ahead, right, to the next part. Please keep those comments coming in, right? So we're going to look at the second part. Now we have looked at our subject knowledge. We have picked up our related concepts. But it is time to bring it to a bigger idea, a bigger umbrella, a more powerful idea, a more abstract idea that can be transferred within disciplines, right? Again, the subject guides give you the definitions of the key concepts that are prescribed for your subject. Not necessary that you have to stick to them. It is just so much more relevant to your subjects. That's why they're prescribed. When it comes to interdisciplinary, you would know that interdisciplinary units, we would know that we actually go to different key concepts as well. So with the help, right now we're looking at our own units within a particular subject discipline, a particular discipline. So from the guides, the easiest thing to do, pick up one of the prescribed key concepts. We can always pick up another one, like I said, but this is easier right now, at least if we're still beginning to do this, right? So what happens is from your from the subject specific related concept, we are making it broader, making it more abstract, and we pick up key concepts. So what happens with the key concept is that helps the transfer of knowledge even further and helps with higher order thinking. So these, from the sciences guide, I have picked up relationships, changes, and systems. Those are the 3 prescribed ones. And so I've written those 3. But because I'm talking about what I wanted to do with them is talk about forms and functions, and that there is a form and a function for each organ, what each organ looks like and what their function is. So because of that, I picked the key concept systems, because I was talking about body systems. That's where I am going. Remember the plan? So right now I kind of have my ticket. I've got my passport done, my visa done. These are the little parts that we're doing, right? So we're looking at conceptual understand. Again, this is our second step. We pick it up. We can pick up from the others. Go ahead. But this is easiest for me, so I picked this one up. And now it is your turn. Think of a broader concept. Now we have some people who have already written down their key concepts. So thank you to all of those people. Again, your subject guide will give you the meaning of the key concepts. Weathering, agriculture. I'm just reading chats too, because, oh, there we go. INS, key concept systems. Thank you. Karamjit, I'm just reading yours. Thank you, Anna. That's a pretty name. Okay, wonderful. So we're getting, let's wait. It's 6:06. Let's give time till 6:08 so people can write it down. We do have a longer way to go. All right, key concept change. I love change. So I'm looking at, okay, change, relationships. Thank you very much. Communication. Fiona. Right. Please keep those answers coming in. Evolution, key concept is change. Nice. All right. So, I'm looking at another answer. Science. Oh, you're a science teacher. Nice to meet you, Priya. Thank you for your answers. Math relationships. Okay. See what happens when you look at math having relationships and science having relationships. That's one way to create an idea right there if we have a nice plan for it. So thank you so much. Right, we'll just move on to the next slide for now. Right, like I said, we could always go back and write in our answers later on. Logic, nice. Oh, theater, communication. All right, with key concepts, thank you, Edwin, for writing that down. With key concepts, we try to stick to one key concept. We can pick about 1 to 2 related concepts, but when it comes to key concepts, it's always better to choose one. So select the most relevant as opposed to too many key concepts. All right, so next comes the thinking part. We're just moving on to the next one, the thinking part. We have the related concepts or concept. We have the one key concept. Now, how are they related to each other? How does the related concept depend on the key concept? Or how does the key concept depend on the related concept? Or how are they all dependent on each other, right? So we've got to think of that part. Or how do they impact each other? We think and we create a conceptual understanding statement. So for example, for mine, I have selected form and function creates systems, right? So if you guys, if you want to write down, I'm not sure why this went to okay, right, sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, if you do want to write down your understanding, please go for it. If you don't want to write it and you just want to think it, it's fine too. I'm going to move on because we need a little time for the next one, right? The next part is actually creating a conceptual understanding statement. Oh wait, there is something. It should have action. Okay. All right, I'm just going to go back to the previous slide because apparently people cannot write on it. Can we just see if you can do it now? All right, I'm going to give probably another 30 seconds to see if I can get any responses. So for me, it would be form and function, or system depends on form and function, you know, something along those lines. Just pick up something that you can think about. All right, nice. Don't worry, we're going to have more time for this. There is another slide where we can write everything, right? And that will be a cooler slide. Okay, I'm reading everybody's. Please, those who have written everything, please copy, keep your statements copied so that we can go use it again, right? I'm going to give 5 seconds for you to copy any statements that you've written. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's move on. Okay, so now we have to create that conceptual understanding statement that we were talking about. So conceptual understanding statements should be short, should be meaningful, like we said, should be easily understood by the students, like we said, should be connected to what is in the unit, and should be transferable. Now, we all love adding words specific to our subject content because that's just how we're wired inside, you know? As teachers, we're like, okay, let's pick up our subject content because that's what we have to teach. But here's the thing, you're not supposed to do that. Try to avoid that. No, not supposed to, but try to avoid that. So we try to create a statement that can be transferable. The minute you add your subject content to it, you're adding boundaries. You're binding it and saying, all right, we have to stick to science, we have to stick to math, we have to stick to English. Well, not English so much, but we have to stick to whatever subject, you know? So we try to avoid those words and yet keep them short, meaningful, easily understood, and connected to our unit. That's the tricky part. So here's what we have to do, right? Remember, we were thinking, this was my thoughts when I was doing it. Forms have functions. That was the first thing I thought about. These things work together to form systems. That's the second thing I thought about. If you're math teachers, you would understand this kind of goes like, oh, equation 1, equation 2, right? Simultaneous equations. I used to love that in math back then. Systems have different forms. That was another thing I thought about. So after that, I edited, re-edited, and I came to this thing that says systems can be made of different forms and their functions, right? So when I was finally happy, I finalized into forms and their functions can create systems. The ones in blue, the words in blue, are my related concepts that I chose. And the word in red is the key concept that I chose. We're still in conceptual understanding. So yeah. I'm looking at everybody, what they've written. Okay. Now, I am just going to give, oh yeah, well, that's a voila slide. I'm just going to give you a chance to write what you have thought about. Blue ones are related concepts and red one is the key concept. So the blue ones are the related concepts. Remember, key concept is usually just one. I'm just also reading everything that's on the chat. And yeah, Paulami, I hope I am pronouncing your name right. I hope you can write on this slide because you weren't able to write on the previous one. Mona, I hope you can write on this slide too. You can just click on the slide. So logic can help us generalize. Right, we do try to avoid subject-specific content. So when we use words like, for example, if we use very specific words like, let's say if I use heart, lungs, you know, that's very subject specific. So if instead of form and function help us create a system, if I say the heart and the way blood flows helps us create or helps make a system, that would be very subject specific. We're trying to get away from our subjects right now. Yeah. Balanced relationships contribute to healthy environments. I really love that one because I am not sure whether it's going for science or going for math or going for drama. So that's the beauty of conceptual understanding. You know, it can go for anything. Right? Understanding context on purpose about lifestyle choices can enhance communication. That is already with a global context. Lovely. Thank you. So I'm just going to give a few more seconds before we move on. This is the part where everybody is adding in their conceptual understanding. I'm also reading the chats. If you have put anything up in the chat, presentation styles can be altered to raise awareness. Yep, that's a statement of inquiry right there. Thank you, Ezra. Structure and roles can help us understand change. Lovely. Thank you, Edwin. So thank you so much, everybody, for adding in your answers. We do want to try to avoid adding in too many subject-specific knowledge again, right? We do not want to add in very, very, very words, vocabulary that which is relevant to only our subjects. So, oh, we already had a text slide, right? So let's look at the next slide we're looking at. So when you are fostering, now we have already created the conceptual understanding. So when we're having conceptual understanding, we've already put it into our unit planner. Great. We put it into our heads. Great. It's not like stopping there is not going to do anything. We need to bring this into our classroom instruction. So when we are bringing it into our classroom instruction, we've also got to look at different things like differentiation. How are we going to make sure everybody gets this through whatever ideas they have, right? And there are so many, and also what ideas can, or in what ways can you make sure that students understand? So if I go back to my slide, right, mine was forms and functions can create systems. That was my conceptual understanding. So to make students understand that form and function can create systems, I would probably ask them to read a book. There's this really nice book by Dr. Seuss called Inside Your Outside. It's about the human body, because I want kids to learn about it, but I also want them to learn about form and function create systems. As a child, well, I used to, when I was younger, right, I used to love the Magic School Bus. I don't know if you watched it, but it's a great animation for understanding body systems. I kind of like body systems because of that animation. So I would bring that to the classroom. I would make role plays, tell them, okay, guys, you are a system, you are the digestive system, and this is the food particles that are coming in. How does it work? Right? That's something I have done. Or bring in practical examples, like you're getting hurt, so which are the, what's happening, where is the form and the function, what is the form doing here? So if you're talking about like platelets, how does that happen? You know, it's however you want to bring it in, you bring it in, right? So now comes to your thinking. Whatever conceptual understanding you did, how would you bringing it into your classroom? It would be nice to hear a few ideas. So I'm going to just give you a minute. Well, I'm going to give you about 3 minutes for this one, because this is a lot of thinking involved. All right. Reading Claudia's statement of inquiry. Azur says questions. All right, I'm just reading everybody's input. Please put in, how would you foster conceptual understanding in your classrooms? If you're already doing it, please let us know so we can share ideas, thinking tools, brainstorming ideas about the statement of inquiry. Nice one, Paulami. Creating, okay, asking conceptual and factual questions. Nice. Hi, yes, using the statement of inquiry, using services action. That's a wonderful idea. You actually get them to do services action activities to foster conceptual understanding. I think that's brilliant. Jyoti, thank you. Okay, writing features not working for me, says Ahmad, but if you can put in your answers into the chat, yes. A field survey, where that's very nice. I think that also goes with what Jyoti said. You know, you can do something for services action. Questions about real life situations, nice. Role plays, bringing in newspapers. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Bringing in target language newspapers. Guest speakers, see, think, wonder. I think a lot of visible thinking tools can be used. Comic strips, graphic novels to get them interested. Yeah, students are working on GRASP's task. Very nice. We're getting really good ideas here. Thank you so much, everybody, for actually putting in your ideas. I am so happy to see all the participation, right? Yes, that's wonderful. All right. So, I think there's another chat. Celebration of learning. Ah, that's brilliant. I love celebrating learning. All right. So education, real life situations. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, everybody. So can I move on to the next slide? I used to know, but now I know. Yeah, inquiry-based teaching with labs. All right. That's interesting. That's something I would really like to know about. Karamjit. Our students visited cotton fields on World Cotton Day. That's pretty cool. So thank you for your ideas. Let's move on a little bit, right? So we've all got our conceptual understanding. Yay. I'm really glad. So what happens with our conceptual understanding? In MYP unit planning, it doesn't stop there, because this is pretty much what we're learning part, right? But then you also have to make sure that your learning, your teaching goes into a certain direction. And that direction is the global context. So when you have your conceptual understanding and you combine it with your global context, you get our most favorite statement of inquiry that a lot of our participants have already written down, right? So see, I'm just reading Claudia's thing that says reflection of the statement of inquiry. So a lot of us seem to know how to make statements of inquiry, and I've read some of them. They're brilliant. Thank you so much, right? So now we know that we have conceptual understandings, right? We have to, but still give our students a whole direction for learning, and that's where the global context comes in, and we create a statement of inquiry. But since today's session is just about unit planning for conceptual understanding, the takeaways from today, a quick recap, what we gathered are that we understood the importance of conceptual understanding. I'm sorry, there's a grammatical error right there. I apologize. It should be what is the importance of conceptual understanding. How do we create a conceptual understanding statement? And how do we foster conceptual understanding in students through classroom instructions? So these are everything that we did today. And I am so happy for all the participation. I am still getting very nice statements of inquiry over here. Thank you so much. These are all my references, all pictures, everything have been cited. Thank you so much. And this is my favorite time.
Yeah, Ram has raised his hand. Yes, Ram, over to you. Please unmute.
Yes, basically, I have two questions. One is about you said the conceptual understanding statement has to be not specific to the subject or that we have to teach. But then you also said somewhere that the conceptual understanding has to be related to the unit that we are teaching, and the unit is quite subject specific.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that it is related? The conceptual understanding statement is related to the unit, and yet it is not very subject specific.
All right. May I answer that question before I go to the second one? Is that okay?
Please.
All right. Okay. I'm still with you, Ram, but I hope you can see my slides, right? Okay.
Yes,
all right. So remember when we were looking at this particular slide, right? Okay. All right. So this is my subject specific content. Like I said, I'm a science teacher, right? So my subject specific content was to teach students the different organs in the human body, how they work, and how they form a system, right? Very subject specific, very science, right? Every science teacher teaches this, I guess, if you're in middle school, right? So now I have taken this is my content. This is not my concepts. I have taken this content and I have connected it to the related concepts that I will be teaching, that I will be looking at from my guide. So in my sciences guide, I've got form and function. Form is what it is, the physical form. Let's look at it this way. The function is what it does. I am still teaching the heart and what it does. I'm still teaching the lung and what it does. I'm still teaching the liver and what it does, correct? I'm still teaching that there is a circulatory system. I am still teaching there's a respiratory system and why it's important. I am still teaching all of that. But I am looking, when I'm putting it in my statement of inquiry, or when I'm looking at it, putting it into my conceptual understanding, I don't say the heart and its function is important for the circulatory system. Instead, I say the form and its function is important for a system. You get the difference? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It
Yeah.
does. No,
Yeah.
many a times what happens is the definition of these key concepts and the related concepts, the definition differ according to the subject. Like for example, the key concept in language acquisition that we have are communication and culture, and there are two more. So
Yeah.
communication can have different meaning in different subjects, but for
Exactly.
language acquisition, it can have a different meaning.
Yeah.
So when we frame the statement of inquiry or the conceptual understanding statement, somehow it has to be related to the subject, language acquisition, yet it has to be general.
It has to be transferable, yes. So I can look at form and function. If you go back to my conceptual understanding, right? Where is that conceptual understanding that I created? Right here, right? Forms and functions can create systems, right? So when I look at this conceptual understanding, I can put it into a situation where we're at a workplace, right? I am a form, my form is a teacher. My function is whatever my teacher's job description is, right? But when I look at myself, I look at my coordinator, I look at my supervisors, I look at my heads of department, I look at my principal, I look at my reporting officers. That whole thing becomes a system. You see how it just gets transferred from just being science. That's why in different subjects, you've got different meanings, because if you look at them, yes, they do have different meanings, but they kind of make sense the same way, somewhere in your mind, it does make sense the same way, if you get what I mean. Does that answer all your questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Like the other question that I had was, is there any difference between, because in language acquisition we have different levels, like we have emergent level, we have capable level, and we have proficient level, depending upon the achievement level of the students. So
Yeah.
is there any distinction that the conceptual understanding statement is only for those who are doing emergent level unit, and conceptual understanding plus global context, which is SOI, is for the capable and proficient level students? Is there any such distinction in the domain of uh,
Conceptual understanding?
yes.
All right. If we go back to what is a concept, I'm just showing you this slide again, right? If you go back to what is a concept, the bottom line, the bottom right over here says varying degrees of complexity. So throughout 5 years in MYP, science, almost all science teachers somewhere uses systems as a conceptual understanding. But what you're using, what your understanding of your exploration of what a system is when you're in grade 6 and grade 10 are two different explorations. So that's the same thing when it comes to language acquisition, right? It's the complexity changes depending on what you're doing as a teacher and how much you are letting them explore and how much do you want them to understand. So what a system means at that point, a system, if say I look at the word systems, right? I'm looking at it from the point of human systems. That's one kind of systems I would like to explore, right? But say a student in grade 9 learning about plant systems may not look at the word systems the same way that the 6th grader did. So that's the same thing with emergent level, and I'm not sure the rest of the levels, but I'm assuming very basic, not so basic and advanced. So they would still have the same thing. It's just where do you stop when you say this is what this level needs? You see, what are you doing? Where does the teacher stop? Where does the teacher say this is the boundary? That's where you come in. Yeah, Ram, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry
Okay.
for asking these questions, because
No problem. I love
in language
questions.
in language acquisition, for us, it is very difficult to find resources. So we look for these platforms and opportunities where we can ask questions and get our doubts clarified. And learning about language acquisition from a science educator is a wonderful feeling. And thanks to Classcipe for giving us this opportunity. So thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you, Classcipe. Yes. Right. Thank you so much. Ken, I see a question that says, can the statement of inquiry be taught through other subjects as well? Paulami, I would just like to clarify that one. So if you're looking at, say, an interdisciplinary unit, right? Just recently, grade 6 did an interdisciplinary unit with between science and design. And we pretty much had the same statement of inquiry. So the design teacher taught design. We did have, I mean, even if we're doing a IDU, we still have to teach our own subjects as well. So we're still going with the same statement of inquiry. So what does that show? That yes, we can, right? Because remember, statements of inquiry, conceptual understanding, it should be transferable. The minute you use transferable, other subjects can happily dance into that picture.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, because I was a PYP teacher, was a PYP coordinator, then moved to be an MYP coordinator, and then the PYP, our central ideas have to be broad enough so that, many subjects can come together,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I was wondering about that it is the same with the MYP. I know that we have subject-specific concepts and related concepts, but is it same? So
Yeah,
for an IDU, that's what it is. Thank you so much for clarifying.
no problem. Do we have any other questions? Anybody?
Okay, for the participants, we have shared the feedback form link in the chat box. Please fill it up, and then you can start leaving the session. Please do not leave without filling up. It will help us to give you the certificates. So please do fill up the feedback form, submit, and then you can take the session. Rushini, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Classcipe. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you for being such great participants. It's never fun to have a session when participants don't respond, and you all did. So thank you, and thank you, Classcipe. Yeah.
Okay, so our next session is on next Saturday, 6th of May at 4:30 p.m. on Principles of MYP Assessment will be taken by Basam Omar. He will be joining from Baghdad. So do try to attend that session as well. It was great having you all, and it is our first TeachMeet, first edition today, and we started with Rushini. So yeah, we hope to see you again the next session. Another reminder, please fill up the feedback form and then you can exit the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Priya, yes, Priya.
Hi, Rushini. I had a question. So
Yes,
this statement of inquiry, is
Yeah.
it something that like we make the statement of inquiry when we are doing our lesson planning and making assessments and all for the students? My question was that is the statement of inquiry also introduced to the students at the beginning of the unit? Like, I mean, are they aware, and does it continue throughout the unit? Like, should they know what the statement of inquiry is, or should they be familiar? That is something I wanted to know.
All right. So thank you for your question, Priya. I believe in introducing the statement of inquiry to the students, but when in my classes, when I introduce, I don't immediately introduce. Of course, it's our school has, we have different learning management systems, right? And the learning management system that our school uses has got the unit planner appearing the minute the students open it, right? So they can look at the statement of inquiry, but students being students, they don't always do it. Let's face it, until you guide them, they don't want to do it. So what I do is I pick up, remember that conceptual understanding part? That's the first thing I teach, I get to the class. I don't start off with my statement of inquiry immediately. I first get them to do conceptual understanding, and then I teach them the statement of inquiry and then tell them this is where we're going. But do students need to know it? Of course they need to know it, because they need to know where they're going to. You know, just like how we put our objectives on the board when we teach, right? We tell them, right, today we are going to be learning blah, blah, blah. So that's the same way they should know with this unit what exactly is going to happen. So if they don't know the statement of inquiry, they'll be lost. So it's always a better idea to let them know.
Okay.
Rushini, we'll take last question. Azra is asking. Her question is in the chat, Zoom chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't checking. With key concepts, is it not the key concept, form and function? Oh, no. The key concept was systems. Form and function is related concepts. So related concepts come from your subjects guides. Subject specific topics. Key concepts broaden it. So when I learned MYP, when I was new to MYP, I was confused. I was equally confused, right? So the easiest thing I found was saying the related concept is related to our unit content. That's how I saw it. That's my easiest way of looking at it. All right, because I moved from IGCSE to IB when I first moved, and it was confusing. So I said, okay, related concepts is related to my topics. Key concept is key for the exploration. So it's the bigger idea. That's how I remembered it. Maybe that would be easier, Azra. I hope that helps. So key is one. There's only one key for every door. So one. You can have multiple related stuff. That was just my own thinking. I hope that helps everybody else. Right. Is that all right? I hope that's okay.
I just want to put in my question. I hope I'm not too late. I was very much listening and being a part of it. Like you just mentioned, ma'am, that
Yeah.
I too am teaching with IGCSE. I'm from Dubai and I work with GEMS. So yeah, so I have been teaching students from IB, but the point is when we switch from IGCSE to IB, one major thing that because you just mentioned that you also have been switched from, IGs to IB, one major thing that you would like to give us as a takeaway of the lesson that we should keep in mind as teachers to make a change of?
You mean when you're moving from one curriculum to the other curriculum?
No. See, no, not that. Like, see, basically, when we teach, it has to be pure teaching, and which remains to be the book material and the content also
Yes.
only. But I mean to say, if I'm a commerce teacher, if I teach demand will remain to be demand, no matter which curriculum I'm into.
Yes.
It is
Yes,
just the
absolutely.
layout that changes, be it
Yes,
IGCSE,
absolutely.
IB,
IB, yes.
ICSE, or CBSE, whatever. So
Yes.
my understanding, it is just IGs is more like we have DLPs,
Content-oriented.
we have student based learning in there also. When we design our DLPs, our curriculums, we do have 4-part lessons, and we have a starter, a development, a mini plenary, a plenary, and so on. We go on. The only difference that we get is this conceptual and key question and the information of inquiry. They have just perhaps changed the name, the maybe a new packaging with the same old material. This is what my narration to the whole thing. So one key point that would you like to remember once we are making the conceptual planning, or whatever key questions, switching from that to here, that's what you don't need to do, or that's what you need to do. This is what my question is.
All right. Thank you. Okay, I kind of understood it a little more. So my thing is yes, I moved, like, I think 2015 was when I started in IB, right? I feel old now that you reminded me of it, right? But also when we're looking at conceptual understanding, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to define it by any curriculum per se, right? You don't have to say, yes, key concepts, related concepts, these are words very IB specific, but the word conceptual understanding itself is out of IB specific. You know, we're looking at a conceptual understanding is more about teaching a student. We're touching skills. We're touching we're giving the student a reason for learning, right? So if we are looking at conceptual understanding, and when you're looking at, let's say, IGCSE or any very content-oriented curriculum, if you're looking at content-oriented curriculum, not exactly, IGCSE has a lot of its own differentiations and stuff, but yeah, if we're looking at very content-oriented curriculum, as teachers, don't we try to compare it somewhere else? Doesn't it come naturally that we make analogies for students? Doesn't it happen naturally that we're like, oh, you know, guys, this may be the heart, but what is the heart of our organization? What is the heart of our school? See, without really doing it explicitly, aren't we already doing some kind of transfer? Aren't we already bringing in a concept? So here, what we're just doing is we're just defining what it is to make it give us a clear-cut picture as students and as teachers that this is what our concept is. But most of us teachers, I'm very sure, unless you just go to class and read, right? We're already doing it. Implicitly, we're all giving that conceptual understanding somewhere. Here, we're just showing what we're doing. So what, like I said, when we talk about conceptual understanding, something that we try to avoid is subject-specific knowledge, because subject-specific knowledge, we're going to teach them anyway, right? That's why we take it out of our conceptual understanding. But we try to make it transferable because that's what students need. That's what a 21st century learner needs. That's what they're going to go up to when they're doing all their jobs that we have not planned for. You know, that little quote, I don't really know the quote anymore. But yeah, that's what we need. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. I do get it. What I try to say is like we don't directly jump onto the topic like
Yeah.
we've been doing, like very much we do cross-curricular links and we connect it to other subjects. The only
Yes.
thing is with the country we live in and with the, like if I talk about country like UAE, which has a lot of, language and disparity and culture and community. So then we have to be very respectful in terms what we are talking in
Yes.
class. So you have to
Exactly.
be very particular that you don't, what you speak has meaning, and that meaning
Yes.
should not be, getting into any wrong senses to anybody.
Misinterpreted by somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here
true.
comes the concept thing which you portrayed well in advance. So the what we do without writing it, perhaps you sticker it out so that it becomes more,
Yeah.
it rubs out well in their mind. So that how are we approaching towards the key concept? Before that, we connect it with to 20 other things, like with culture, with place, with system and people.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. I hope I gave you the right answer, being a good student.
Thank you so much. You like helped everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you for
I think we'll take the last question. Farkan, you want to ask a question? Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name in the wrong way, but yeah, if you are here, then you can unmute and ask.
Thank you so very much.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
hi.
It's actually and it was logged in already. He's my nephew, a 6 years old kid. He takes his classes online. My name is Uzma. I have previous teaching experience in UAE. I've taught IGCSE in American curriculum. I was personally interested in IB. So first of all, I would like to thank Ms. Rushini for enlightening us, and your insights were very useful in understanding how unit is being planned. My question, as I'm also a science teacher, my question specifically would be regarding how do we make the statements of inquiry when we already know the concepts, or we have already generated a conceptual statement regarding a scientific concept, especially a biological concept, or a concept related to chemistry. So how we are going to do that? Because we have to add global context into that, and then we have to develop or generate a statement of inquiry. So wouldn't it be difficult to jot down a statement of inquiry related to a pure biological concepts? I'm specifically talking about, senior grade students, grade 9, 10.
All right. That's the thing about conceptual understanding, right? Thank you for your question. Uzma, am I correct? That's how you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So thank you. When we're talking about, like we said, conceptual understandings or statements of inquiry, right? Remember, transferable. So we don't go, your question was, how do we make it biospecific? The whole idea is we don't make it biospecific. We don't make it chem specific, right? We make it transferable enough that it can go to bio, it can go to chem. If you look at, like once, I remember a while ago, right? My coordinator back then, we had just changed our books, and I was looking at the books. The books were very chapter wise, and I'm like, how do I take this and how do I make this into a unit planner? We had just changed books, right? And I went to my coordinator. She told me this, right? She said, Rush, she said, you're looking at it the wrong way. She's like, you're looking at the topics and you're letting those topics fool you into believing that each topic needs a unit. So she said, let's take systems. So she sat with me, right? I was pretty new to MYP then. She sat with me. She said, okay, let's look at all your contents and see which one goes into systems. I was like, body systems for sure. All right. So she said, okay, body systems. We wrote it down. Plant systems. That was my second system. Like, fine, wrote it down. And then she said, can you see no other systems? I was like, no. Like, for me, that's systems, right? Science teacher. Then she showed me the solar system. Then she said, isn't that a system? So I'm like, yeah, it is. It is a system. And then she said, now look at this. Now create a statement of inquiry that is for all of this. So we did. She helped me, of course. I mean, like, wow, she's amazing. She was a coordinator that I worked with. So she sat with me and we made a statement of inquiry that was so cool, because if you look at it in a higher studies perspective, plants and animals, or plants and human systems, is biology, but solar systems already physics, right? So we made a conceptual understanding and a statement of inquiry that was good enough to be going to biology or physics. See, so that's the whole idea. If I had made it content specific that day, I would have had 10 different statements of inquiry for 10 different topics. We made it into 4 different units and we covered it up. So, it's the whole idea is to remove the whole thinking process that content should be in the statement. Like I said, you bring in content into the statement, you're putting all those little walls and boundaries and saying that's where we stick, and that removes conceptual understanding. Uzma, does that answer your question?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. It was a very precise explanation. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Right.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any other question, or we can end the session? Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Rushini.
Thank you
for
very
conducting
much.
the lovely session.
All right. Okay, I just saw that too.
Yeah, someone is saying my question.
Yeah. One key concept is what shapes the unit. Yes. Yes, that would be a yes. I just read it. Bodor, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I hope that helped. Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody.